Okay, it says we're live.
Perfect.
I can screenshot it for you guys. Okay, I think we're good to go.
All right, so do we want to start off by just going around the horn and doing like a brief introduction, name, where we're from, and then like what your current role is, either in a job or if you're in a leadership position or a position where you're a follower, and then that can kind of segue us into the prompt for the discussion for the week of what qualities make a good leader and what qualities don't make a good leader.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Cool. Who wants to start?
I guess I can. I don't mind. So one of the things I said I thought a good leader does, they empower others, and it's more of the democratic and laissez-faire style leadership as we do in chapter 2. And I kind of said that, poor leaders are basically the opposite. They're authoritarian. They try to control everything, and then also on the extreme end of laissez-faire, that they're just not involved and they could care less what goes on, and they're really not invested in the company.
So what would you say is your ideal style of leadership between the three, the authoritarian, the democratic, and the laissez-faire? Or do you think it's like the balance? Like when you did the leadership assessment, what were your results?
I was kind of blended between democratic and laissez-faire. And I kind of even referenced how there was, I think it was chapter 1, had the Southwest Airlines story, and Herb Kelleher. And there was a quote in there that, I don't remember if it was him or one of the people at Southwest, but they said, hey, if your customers are coming and treating your employees badly, there's other airlines out there, fly somebody else, don't abuse our people. And I thought that's pretty incredible. And it's like, there's not too many places out there that would basically chase a customer away. And it's like, and that's, I think, the kind of leadership I want to have. It's like, to me, if you can invest in your people and get them to buy into your leadership style, they'll be a lot more willing to do stuff for you.
I agree. I think that's what support them in that way. You guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I can anyways.
Sorry, it's like really laggy. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Siobhan, I kind of missed what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just commenting on what Brian had said. That's motivating to your staff to be supportive and it makes them want to work harder for the company and for you when support them, when they're a disgruntled customer or employee.
Absolutely. So I'm Danielle, and I've been a follower and a leader in several different positions. I'm currently a leader at Starbucks, so I work as a store manager there. So I think that I've fallen into different categories. Like as a new leader, I've been authoritarian before, and I've certainly fallen into like a laissez-faire sort of a leadership role before, which I've kind of experienced like authoritarian doesn't always work all the time, because if you're treating partners like they're just people as like a means to get the work done, then people pick up on that and it doesn't make them feel good. So just like the leader of Southwest Airlines, how he will I was reading in chapter 4 that he would, on holidays like as Thanksgiving, he would go and unload baggage or be right there with his frontline people to be able to support them. So I think that has a huge part of what makes a great leader. And I know personally for myself, when I've fallen into the mode of being a laissez-faire leader, that I keep wondering myself, like, what's happening? Why isn't anything getting done? Or why is my team feeling anxious or upset about something? And then I realize at a certain point that it's probably me and the way that I'm kind of managing my team and the leadership style that I have. So I think that if you support your team and you're there for them and you do everything that you can for them to motivate and inspire them, then that's great. But if you're just there to make sure that, the drains get cleaned, then you're probably not going to make it very far as a leader.
So Danielle is kind of, I'm just trying to like probe what you're saying into like a further discussion type of thing where people could chime in. So it's kind of what you're saying, more of like the showing top style of leadership, but it's telling, like leading by example. Be willing as a leader to do and show your subordinates how things should go, and that you're not asking them to do things that you're not willing to do yourself or that you haven't done yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If you're not willing to clean the toilets, then nobody else is going to clean the toilets because you told them to.
Right. And how do you think that? So you kind of mentioned that if the cohesion within the group is off, that you kind of attribute that to being your fault as a leader. So how would you say that like communication plays into achieving that cohesion, not only vertically from your subordinates up to you and from you down to your subordinates, but within the peer group between peers, subordinate to subordinate?
Well, I know that if I don't communicate things to my team, that oftentimes they're just kind of going without direction. They're doing whatever they think is right. And so we're not achieving the goals that we set out to achieve. I also know that as far as like follower communication to me goes, sometimes it can be very frustrating to me if we don't have good communication between each other and we don't have that relationship. Because, everybody has their different issues that they experience. And I view that part of my role as a leader is to help my team with anything that they're experiencing. So if partners aren't sharing with me that they are having a bad day or this customer was rude to them or whatever it might be, then I feel that I can't help them solve that problem. So it creates a gap in that cohesion.
Okay. Has anyone found that like in terms of communication with subordinates, that communicating to them and them understanding the meaning of the work that they're doing? Because I'm in the military. You guys didn't know that already from the introductions or whatever. So I mean, lots of times, especially at the lower levels, troops are tasked to do certain things. And the reason why is because you were told to do it, so you're going to do it. And you're taught instant obedience to orders, don't ask questions, just do it. And I believe in that to an extent, but the trust has to be built before that can happen. So, for example, like when I'm able to, as a leader, I'm going to explain the why to the Marines that work under me. Hey, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it, and this is why. And I'm going to constantly explain the why in the situations where the time permits. The hope of that is if we're in a situation in combat, for example, and I tell the Marines for something crazy like, all right, jump off this ledge, then I would hope that they're going to jump off the ledge because they have the trust in me that I have a plan, that there's something on the other side of the ledge that's going to catch them or something, right? So I'm keeping them informed when I'm able to and building that trust within the group, so that way when I'm not able to explain to them, they're going to pretty much blindly follow me because I'm the leader and I told them to do that, and then I'll explain to them later why.
How do you build that trust though, Adam?
So, like I said, it's a lot of that is communication. For me personally, not to jump ahead or anything, but talking about qualities that make a good leader. For me, everything starts in regards to leadership with people, right? So the leader truly caring about the subordinates that work under them and actually getting to know them, where they came from, what their needs are, how I can tailor my leadership style to help them thrive in the environment we're in. And then it doesn't stop there. It's constantly looking out for their well-being when making decisions. How is this decision going to affect myself and my organization? How is it going to affect those under me? Pretty much looking out for the welfare of those under me. A lot of that comes into constant communication. Always in the morning or at the end of the day, like having around the horn. Hey, how'd your day go? Do you need anything from me? Tell me what's going on. Staying constantly engaged. We like to call it sometimes intrusive leadership. So from their perspective, sometimes you might be too much in the weeds, too much in their business, but there's a purpose behind it. Knowing if a Marine has a family problem or financial issue, like we're able to recognize those things, even though it's part of their personal life, to help them be physically prepared, mentally prepared, spiritually prepared. So that way, when they are in a mission or they are working with the group, that their mind is fully engaged. And I mean, pretty much as Marines, we have an organizational culture that we look out for. We don't do things for ourselves, but we do things for the Marines who are left and the right. So that just comes down to being a selfless leader versus a selfish leader, and putting the needs of others first. Because by taking care of those underneath you, they're going to end up taking care of the mission or getting the job done, which in the long run takes care of you because you're the one who ultimately takes responsibility for that team.
Gotcha. That was a good example.
Yeah, that's a great example. You absolutely have to have that trust and the communication to be able to do what you need to do.
Yeah, you really built that leader and follower role.
I agree. I think that self-assessment, making sure that you're effective in the way you're leading and motivating to your group, I think is really important. Uh-oh.
Yeah, and just to tie into that, it's like one of the things I wrote down was that the leader-follower relationship, it's more of a partnership than anything. I think you really kind of hit on that when you're talking. Both parties have to kind of throw some energy into the relationship and make sure that it's beneficial to both parties.
In the self-assessment, I took it. I got a 16 on the democratic approach, and I feel like it's accurate. It definitely takes people's skill set. They can bring to the group. Now I hope it starts. So I think.
Sorry, you're cutting in and out a little bit.
Yeah, did you guys hear that?
Not quite.
I think we keep going up patches, like lagginess.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
I was just saying that when I took the self-assessment, we got the democratic solutions, and I think it's important to definitely make sure that the group goals are taken into consideration, when you're making decisions and making goals, and, ultimately just making sure that everybody's opinion matters.
Right.
So what you're talking about is kind of like that participative or democratic style type of leadership, right?
Yeah, that's what I got, definitely.
So do you think, I know my own personal perspective on that. Do you think that that's always appropriate, or do you think it's situational?
I believe that it's situational in that I think it's appropriate if everybody is a team player and everybody's willing to give, comparable effort. But I do think at a point in the leadership role, you need to be able to make that ultimate decision.
So yeah, just playing devil's advocate and looking at that from a situational perspective. So I was split between authoritarian and democratic style, 15 and 15. And I wouldn't say that I do one more than the other. It's situational for me. And the prime example I can give for that is so my job in the military, I'm the ammunition chief for an infantry regiment. So I'm responsible for the logistical aspects of ammunition for training and combat, as well as explosive safety compliance. So that's the area for myself that I have to be authoritarian for explosive safety compliance. I cannot allow people who are transporting ammo and stuff to chime in as to what they think is correct or what they think they should be abiding by. There's a strict standard operating procedure and there's strict guidance based upon certain orders that we have to abide by to ensure safety, security, and accountability of those transporting ammo and bystanders, whether it's on base or off base. So in that situation, there's no room for me to have a participative style there. It's strictly authoritarian. This is the rule, and you will abide by the rule, and if you don't, you will face consequences.
Right. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, I think so too. It's, I mean, in what I do, you know, if we're making a decision, if there's a Starbucks standard that we have to follow, then sure. But if it's, you know, like where someone wants to move the pumps on the bar because it's more comfortable, sure, you guys, like, let's talk about it. Let's find the best way and make the decision. But in your example, definitely for safety purposes, for guideline purposes, you have to be authoritarian in that aspect.
I'm going to chime in on that one if I can for a minute. I feel like it's important to see those little moments, though. You know, for instance, where it doesn't have very much, it could move the pump to a different place on the bar. I find it important that you see them at, you know, when it's appropriate. But then when it's not appropriate, I think, you know, in a military situation where it is a safety issue and you have to abide by specific rules, then that's understandable. But I think it's nice to give people
and I agree. And I think it boils, like this whole class is regarding leadership is based around communication. I'm sorry, are you still talking?
No, you're
lagging a little bit.
That's okay.
Siobhan, is Siobhan still talking?
I can't tell.
I think she's done.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, I was just really quickly saying, like, this whole aspect of leadership revolving around communication, like what I think it boils down to is, like she said, there's an appropriate time and place for everything. I think it's in the establishing. So when the team is put together and you're identified as a leader because you're appointed or because you just happen to be the guy that knew the most, I think as a leader, setting the ground rules, setting the expectations. These are the roles and responsibilities for you, and you. These are the expectations that I have of you in those roles. And then this is how we're going to communicate. This is how I'm going to allow you to provide feedback to me as a leader, as I'm going to provide feedback to you by reinforcing good behaviors and correcting deficiencies.
Perfect. Do you guys mind if I chime in real quick?
Have at it.
Perfect. I just
go ahead, Jacob.
Okay, yeah, I put on just real quick, just for like some traits of a good leader. I just put being a good communicator, like a visionary, like you can see the potential and future of like the organization. What I said earlier, you can understand like the follower leader relationship. You can just inspire and motivate others. So that what led me to the democratic approach also. So I was just pretty much agreeing with Danielle earlier also. And that's kind of like how I am in my workplace right now. I work in an accounting firm. And my boss is she's really emphasizing just pushing me to be the best I can be. And also for my example of a bad leader, I was working like under a different girl at the time, and she was just like good at the time and kind of taking me under her wing. She was supposed to be like, showing me the ropes and everything, and then she pretty much just like threw that all out the window and just really just kind of like made me feel like not part of the team, and I really felt like inadequate. And that was kind of my example of a bad leader.
So, just to chime in real quick on that. So something that I've noticed coming up through the ranks in the Marine Corps, like every leader serves as an example, like you said, whether it's a good example or a bad example.
Mm-hmm.
So noting those bad examples also to say, hey, when I'm in a leadership role, that's who I don't want to be. And also taking away from the good leaders, that's who I do want to be. And kind of like picking and choosing, we call it picking and choosing the traits from all the leaders you've had, putting it in your toolbox, and then having like the perfect package to become a leader based upon your own experiences and what you liked and disliked. But yeah.
I hate to interrupt, but I believe our video is supposed to be 15 to 18 minutes, and we are now at 21. So if anybody would like to chime in, we should probably do that quickly.
Yeah, I think we're coming towards the end of our time.
Yeah, and I'll double check too after this is done. It might have recorded, I'm not sure. But lesson learned for next time.
Yeah, does anyone else want to add any last minute thoughts or questions or concerns? Anything overall before we cut out?
I don't. I will let you know how the recording went and whether I was able to post it or not.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, yeah. So I guess that's it until next Sunday at 6 p.m.
Okay.
See you guys then. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting everybody.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Feel free if you guys have questions throughout the week to shoot a text over to me or anything, just in regards to any of the work or anything like that. I don't mind helping out at all if I can.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Likewise.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Take it easy, guys. Have a good one.
Night.
Bye.